Tony D and Little Joan in the background, and this is a screenwriter's rant on the fourth grade or fourth grade movie that confuses me because it appears to have been made 2 years ago, but might have been shelved or delayed due to pandemic-y reasons, and now is coming out. It's supposed to be a comedy, feels very much like a play. I'm not so sure it's that funny. Smash like and subscribe. Thank you for smash liking and subscribing. Check out my books. Links in the description. Comedy horror in South Jersey. It's the Pineys, books 1 through 11, available at Amazon.com. Don't forget, Kindle Unlimited is free. The premise is it's an exclusive school, and the kids are in the fourth grade, and the parents are called in because they found a brick of weed, and they're accusing. They have to know which kid brought it into the school because they're going to expel them, and so then they're trying to come up with solutions or trying to figure out who did it, and then they accuse each other, and then of course eventually someone suggests, there's a lot of tension in the room, why don't we smoke some of the weed? Yeah, that sounds responsible. And so they smoke the weed, and then I'm sure their inhibitions are loosened, and then you find out even more about them. Is this a movie? This feels very much like a play. A play that I wouldn't like. There's a lot of people in it. William Baldwin and Mina Servari are kind of the two big names, but I recognize some of the other guys in it. I'm not sure which are their names. I recognize their faces, but not their names. So it apparently got a ton of awards. I don't know, maybe part of the problem for me is it doesn't really strike a chord because I don't have a kid in a private school. So this to me feels like a movie that's aimed at a very tiny audience. Parents who have kids in a private school, so I'm not so sure this really scans for a lot of people. Like, who would see this? So I think you would kind of eliminate kids, number one. I don't think they'd find this particularly intriguing or funny. It's about people who have kids. So right away it kind of puts it on the level of, okay, this is for adults. So you kind of kill your teenage audience. They're out the door. People in their early 20s, maybe they have kids, but the ones that tend to have kids, I don't think a lot of them are sending their kids to private school, so that kind of narrows it down some. When you get to people in their 30s and 40s, okay. So this movie feels like it's for people about in their 30s to 40s, maybe early 50s, who have kids in a private school and could kind of relate to this. Now, that doesn't mean just because I don't have a kid and I don't have a kid in a private school that I can't connect with the movie in some way. But it seems very specific to that. It doesn't seem to be very, welcoming as a movie. And I'll tell you what really irritates me. Gravitas Ventures, who normally, they put together some nice films, but you're doing comedy and you're playing that same classical musical score that they play under comedies all the time. I forget which one it is. It's that one. Which, God, that's been used to death on these things. And like, back in the 80s when they played classical music, there was still some people in the world that really enjoyed classical music and were stuffy rich people, or at least we imagined they existed. Now, really? Have you seen rich kid Instagram? These people aren't. Who's left to listen to? I only wish rich people did snooty things like listen to classical music and listen to opera. I only wish they still did that, so they had some redeeming quality. At least they had enjoyed and patronized culture in some way. These days, I mean, what are these rich a-holes doing? And at this point, is finding a brick of weed, I mean, granted, they're fourth graders, but it just doesn't have the impact it would have had, say, 40 years ago in the 80s. Like, in the 80s, that would have been a big deal. It would have been like, oh, somebody's going to jail. Now it's like, it's legal in a bunch of states. Now, it wouldn't be legal for kids. And a brick has a pretty big, hefty amount to be carrying around, but not so sure in this day and age the stuffy private school thing reads anymore. Like, have you heard what's happening in schools? I mean, they're letting kids do all kinds of crazy things, bathroom related. So, I'm not so sure the school would be all so gung-ho to enforce the rules. They don't seem too gung-ho to enforce the rules on, say, very dirty pictures of people in their libraries. So it feels like society is undermining the concept of this movie. And it also feels like a play, like the characters are trapped in a room, and that's a real tough sell for a movie. I mean, you want people to go to the theater to see a bunch of people trapped in a room. I don't think that's going to fly. Maybe if they relate, maybe if it was a public school. Maybe if it was a public school, maybe, but then the whole tenor of the thing would be different. A lot of the people who are the parents are rich. One's a famous director and a famous actress, or semi-famous anyway. Another guy, Billy Baldwin here, seems like he's playing a rich, snooty guy. Then there's just some random dude. Oh, we're from the East Coast. We just moved here. I just don't see it. It's just not today. In today's day and age, like, to me, who are the snooty people? Who are the people who really get bent out of shape that you would like to zing? Is it people who listen to opera and classical music anymore? That might have been true 40 years ago, maybe. Back when we were going nerds. But now, no, it's the people with pronouns in their bio. You know the people I mean. Oh, they're so wonderful and progressive. Those people, love to skewer them because it's hilarious to watch their reaction. It's not hilarious to watch reactions to the upper crust, which is such a trope in movies if you do it this way. Plus, you're playing the classical music. Plus, it's a private school, so they gotta have a little money. I'm just not seeing this as, and it's supposed to be funny. It's not one laugh in here for me. I don't know. Maybe I can't relate to it. To me, it would be a hell of a lot funnier if some of that progressive bubble popping was inserted into this, right? And the school was, it wasn't about punishing the person. They were about covering it up somehow, which seems to be more realistic the way private schools run now, or way big fancy schools would run in general. Oh, they're all about, like, covering the whole thing up. And then there'd be, like, one super ultra, say, conservative would be like, no, we have to call the police. Now, one of the lines is, maybe we should call the police. I don't feel like that's going to be a factor. I didn't see cops in the trailer, so I don't think it's serious. Plus, I feel like it's a trapped in a room kind of premise. Like, you're not going to get out of the room. They're going to be in this. And then the big revelation, which they kind of give away in the trailers, they all smoke the weed. So, like, how is that hilarious? Oh, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait for the part where they smoke the weed. Have you not seen movies where they smoke weed? I mean, they kind of, that was kind of edgy in the 70s and 80s when Cheech and Chong did it. Now it's like, okay, what's going to happen next? I mean, who wrote this thing? Is this an old play that they revised? I tried to find out some data on it, but because it's called The Fourth Grade, my searches kind of went nowhere. So, I don't know. It's just, there's no way I'd see this. So, first act, they show up. beginning of they reveal the brick of weed. Second act, they all argue over the weed, and eventually decide to smoke it, and then their inhibitions are loosened, and they say more stuff that incriminates them or tells you about their character. And then finally, the third act, it all falls apart, and we realize we never find out, publicly who brought in the weed, but then we suspect maybe, or it's revealed kind of on the way out the door. Maybe. I don't know. Does it really matter? If the movie's not funny, if you have a comedy and the movie's not funny, no one's going to care. No one's going to care about any of this. And it doesn't feel that funny. It feels like, I don't know, like a middle-aged 40-year-old woman wrote this thing. Comedy's a young man's game. It really is. You gotta be edgy. You gotta be new. I don't see anything new here. I don't, in improv, they say you have to clarify. I don't see anything new being clarified here. It just seems like a bunch of old tropes to me. Anyhow, that's it for me, Tony D, and my barky little dog. Thanks for tuning in. I couldn't do Hollywoke Hot Take today. I had to put 4 different trailers on Odysee, Bitchute, and Rumble, because I said something that I probably can't say on YouTube, and it went a little long. So check out that there. I'll be back tomorrow with my usual videos. Don't forget to check me out at Moods Farm on Saturday for the Blueberry Festival, 10 to 4, and then on Sunday at the Dragon Boat Race at Lake Lenape. Hope to see you there, and we'll see you tomorrow.